First things first, congratulations to Council Dixon Jerry and all the Arsenal fans out there. A well-deserved win yesterday. You chaps played very well. If only you can play very well like the way you played yesterday in the next leg, our chances are very high that you may carry the Champions League. But the Arsenal that we know who always have a day when they perform totally the opposite of what they did yesterday. But we wish you all the best. Otherwise, well deserved. But yeah, well deserved win yesterday. This week has been quite a very sad week. I've failed to create content because I'm full of mixed emotions over what has been happening lately. The death of Madam Edith Nawakwi, the arrest of Honorable Mnia Zulu, the showing up of JJ Banda, and now we hear of the illness of our former Republican President, His Excellency President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. I've really struggled to know which angle to pick, how to go, because in all these issues, I just feel like there's some level of hypocrisy somewhere. So I just said, let me just go on a short break. But having listened to the Public Accounts Committee deliberations yesterday over Roan Constituency and Luanshya, in which we discovered, or it was reported, that in the year 2023, they had about 14 projects under Roan Constituency and they had about 8 projects under Luanshya. And in the whole 2023, none of the projects were done. And if you imagine that we have people that in that year went to work January to December, 8 to 17 hours to work. One wonders then, what were they working on? What were they doing? Anyway, let's just watch this video.
As at December 2023, community projects approved for 2023, 23 projects, 8 projects for Luanshya. Is page 21 of the report? 21 of 26. For Luanshya Central Constituency, the projects which were approved, the community projects, were 8, correct? For Roan, there were 14. Out of 8 for Luanshya Central, the projects implemented in the year 2023, January to December, 0, correct?
Yes, Chair.
Work in progress, 0. Outstanding, 8. Luanshya Central. Roan Constituency, you had approved 14 projects, implemented 0. Work in progress, 0. Outstanding, 14. What do you attribute this, if I can say, poor performance, where you have the money, you have you fail to implement any of the projects for both constituencies for the entire year 2023? What would be your explanation, Town Clerk and your team?
Thank you, Chair. I wish to reiterate that we have no qualms with observations of the auditors. What is depicted in their report is the position as at the close of 2023. Indeed, Chair, we had no works in progress for both constituencies. And I will preface my response by way of indicating that we did a bit of introspection following the auditor's observations so that we can just understand exactly, trace where the challenges were that presented a challenge for us to implement those projects. Chair, in doing that, we came up with a timeline. Each project was itemized, starting from when the CDF committee, or indeed when the WDC gave feedback to our applications, as well to our adverts, as well as when the CDF committee sat and until we reached the end of the year, Chair. And partly, some of the blame can be on ourselves, Chair. We did not coordinate ourselves as per expectation. However, I wish to indicate that the bulk of the time we lost was lost due to procurement processes failing. Failing on 2 fronts, Chair. On the one front is that we were not receiving responsive bids. For one of the projects, Chair, I wish to report that we actually did have an appeal that was raised by one of the one of the bidders. And ZPPA did write to advise that we repeat. So the procurement processes were such that we didn't see any contractor on site by the time we closed the year. However, Chair, I wish to provide some feedback to your committee on how we have performed on both 2023, 2024.
Before you go to that, I wanted a confirmation which you have made that indeed true that the entire year 2023 Luanshya Council, Municipal Council, failed the people of Luanshya to manage CDF in respect of community projects. In total, for the two constituencies, 14 plus 8, it is 22 projects, which the CDF committees and the WDCs forwarded as areas of need. People have been hearing about CDF given to you by the government, very generous, to say, can you give the people of Roan and Luanshya? Then the management team completely fails the entire year to implement one, not even work in progress, 0. How would you assess yourself? And what comes to you when you sit as a town clerk? You are reporting for work from January to December, 8 to 17 hours. You are there and you are failing. What actions have you, or sanctions, have you meted on any of the erring officers? Because I believe that monies were being sent in piecemeal, quarterly, same in all the constituencies. And some of the councils endeavored to start projects. But in Luanshya, you are even comfortable town clerks to say, no, we take the blame. I was telling some council yesterday, in civilized jurisdictions, all of you should have resigned.
To be honest, if you ask me, as a country, we need to come up with a way we are going to deal with the laissez-faire attitude in some of the government institutions, especially the council. People that have got a privilege to work in some of these government institutions don't work in there because they have the passion to do the work. Don't work in those institutions because they really want to deliver to the development of this country. Some of them just want the money. Just the money. They are not even passionate about whether or not they are delivering to the people that they are serving. They are not even passionate about the fact of whether they are, working in line with government policy. They don't even care whether government achieves its programs or not. For them, as long as they report for work, they knock off, they get paid. That's all. Most of the times when you see some of these workers, especially under council, running up and down, it's because either the people have complained or the pressure is just too. Even when you see them run up and down there, it's because there are a lot of complaints with regards to garbage. There are a lot of, and to some extent, they just want to get money from the vendors. Because honestly, even if my procurement processes, the whole year, out of the approved projects, none done in 2023. Yet people are going for it. The question is, what were they going to do at work? And they got paid. Babgeze, my salary 2023 on Semandini. Babgeze, me, that's the only thing I can say. Babgeze and Dalama. No. And you can imagine that is just a Roan constituency. Do an audit. In fact, you should be announced. That's why to some extent. Mukatifakireko phone line pana mchama audit kwera mwafaka na ka phone number kuti if you are from this constituency and you have any concerns, please call, so that we should also be calling as the citizens of these communities and the districts. Because honestly, we complain about a lot of things. Money is allocated by government, and especially with the CDF is a very good program, Monday. But to hear that despite the funds being allocated, the people still can't execute their roles. It's painful. I've heard the people of Luanshya personally complain about the poor state of roads in Luanshya. I have heard that. But to learn that none of the projects in 2023 were done because of procurement procedure. It's heartbreaking, man. It's heartbreaking. And we should come up with a way in which we're going to deal with people that deliberately fail to execute their duties, yet they get paid for it. Because how do you explain this? 14 plus 8 projects in 1 year failed to be executed. And people got paid. This country, we joke too much. We joke too much. But anyways, that is just one of the councils. Just one of them out of I don't know how many that we have in Zambia. Denying their citizens, their communities of developmental projects, despite the fact that the monies are there. Maybe they did not deny them, but they delayed the developmental projects. One only wonders what is happening in other councils. I wonder what is happening in mine. But what hurts the most is the fact that the monies are there and the people report for work, but they don't do anything.